Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. We all know that it is really difficult to find our own mistakes and our own faults and correct them. But it is really easy to point out other people's mistakes and find other people's faults. This is one lesson that my parents taught me when I was a child. They said, "Son, when you point one finger towards others, there are three fingers pointing at you." Sometimes there are many mistakes in ourselves, but we keep on finding other people's faults, other people's mistakes. But we all know that we should stop finding faults in others, but it is really difficult. Why is it difficult? It is because of this habit, the mental pattern of finding faults in others. Luckily, this is a habit which we can change, which we can take control and stop it. So there are a few things that we have to understand and we have to realize to stop finding faults on others and be more focused on ourselves. In Dhammapada, verse number 50, the Buddha says, "Na paresang vilomani, na paresang katakatang, attanova avekkeya, katani akatanicha." So this is how to be focused on ourselves. Once you realize that no one in this world is perfect, then it is very easy to understand about why they make mistakes and why people keep doing wrong things. Most of the time, we used to complain why they are doing this, right? Why people are behaving like this. Why can't they behave like me? Why can't they be like me? But turns out that no one can be like you. Do not expect people to be like you. Okay? People are people. People are different, one person to another, and that is what makes this human life and human world so much beautiful, because there is this vibrant difference between people. In each and every human-made thing, there is an error. So back in those days when we were learning physics, we used to calculate all the things and measurements, and when we are doing it, we calculate one thing that is called the human error. Okay, what is it? The human error. That means the nature of humans is that there is an error always. And that error is not a bad thing. It is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it is the most beautiful thing in this world. Okay, so understand that no one is perfect and no one can be like you and no one can behave according to all the way that you want. Because people are living in their own worlds, in their own lives. They have their own dislikes and likes. So they live according to those intentions and emotions. So we have to understand that no one is perfect in this world. And also understand that everyone is struggling in this life, right? There is this unsatisfied nature in everyone's life. Isn't it? This is one thing that we have to understand. This is one of the major teachings in Buddhism. The Buddha says that realize that there is this unsatisfied nature in your life, right? Understand it as it is. And once you realize that there is this unsatisfied nature in your mind, you can relate it to other people as well. Same as I am unsatisfied and same as I am suffering in my life, other peoples are also suffering. Other peoples are also struggling in their life. So they will make mistakes. They will do wrong things. So these are the things that we have to understand, just to not to find faults on others, but to rather be focused on our mistakes and our doings and non-doings. So understand these things. And also, there's one thing. Now, by saying this, should you forget all the mistakes that other people do and just focus on yourself? I would say no. Because there are people in your life that you should find faults. You should care about the mistakes that they do. They are the people who live closely to your life. They are the people who love you most. They are the people who you love most. Always remember, when you see such people's mistakes, there is a way to correct them. Okay? It is okay to find the faults on those people, but there is a way to approach them. There is a way to correct them. Do not choose the easiest way to correct other people's mistake. What is the easiest way? Using the anger and using the violence to correct mistakes on other people. This is not a productive way. If you truly love someone, if you truly care about other people's life, their life, you should approach them to correct their mistake in a more productive way. So you should think, what is the most productive way that I can correct their mistakes? Not to hold on to not to make them hold on to their own mistakes and keep on doing it. Not just to make them more stubborn on their mistake. So when you consider about that, you find the easiest way and you find the correct way to approach them. The best way to correct someone's mistake is to speak to them privately, not in publicly. Speak to them privately and just explain what mistakes that they are doing. Okay? And explain the consequences of the mistakes. And also, you have to praise and you have to appreciate the good things that they do. The more you see the good side and the bright side of the people, it is very easy to approach them and correct their mistakes. The more we see the negative side or the dark side of the people, here's one thing happen: you lose the ability to communicate. Because we are reminiscing and we just keep thinking about that, or the negative idea or the negative point of that person, and just forget about the strengths and all the abilities of that person that we can praise and we can appreciate. And by appreciating that, we can correct that little mistakes in there. So that is why just be more focused on the good side and the bright side of the people. So keep these points in your mind and live happily by seeing the good of other people and by seeing the wonder of this world. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, we are going to discuss about how can we clear our mind. Now, so many of you complain when I'm meditating, when I'm studying, there are so many thoughts popping inside our mind. I cannot stop it. I'm worried. What can I do? Well, the reason for this problem is we are looking at the meditation and we are looking at our mind in a wrong way. Always remember, meditation is not about emptying your mind. Okay? You can meditate while having thoughts inside your mind. That is the most wonderful thing about meditation. You don't want to empty your mind. You don't want to close the mind and let not other thoughts come in. No. Okay? Just try this to yourself. If you try to stop thoughts, what will happen? The nature of your mind is it will generate more thoughts again and again. Okay? That is the nature of your mind. Because we don't know that trying to stop thoughts is also a thought. Okay? So remember, meditation is not about stopping thoughts. It is about being aware of your thoughts. There is one practice in Buddha's teachings, it is called Chittanupassana. In Chittanupassana, Buddha introduced us to a wonderful meditation of being aware of what comes into your mind. Okay? Let the thoughts come into your mind, but be aware of it. Because most of the time, we are not aware of what is going inside our mind. That is the problem. That is why we get caught to these unwholesome thoughts like greediness, craving, anger, hatred, and a lot of things. Okay? Because we don't know what is going inside our mind. The Buddha teaches us, that Buddha introduced us this meditation to be aware of what is coming into your mind. Let's say a lustful thought came to your mind. Okay, it's okay. Everyone feels lust. Everyone feels this craving and desire inside their mind. But The problem with most people is they don't know that their mind is under desire, under lust. Okay, but if you can be mindful, okay, if you can detect when the lust arises, this is a lustful thought that is popping inside my mind. If you can detect it, if you can identify it, then the nature of your mind is, once you identify your thoughts, once you are aware of that thought, it will start to be silent. Okay? It is something like a little baby. Look at your mind like a little baby. Okay? Now, when we are not aware of the babies, what they are doing? They are doing a lot of nasty things, okay? They are doing a lot of naughty things. Why? Because we are not aware of them. But once we pay our attention, they try to behave. Okay? Because they know that my parent or these elders are being aware of me. Okay? So they try to be disciplined. And also, the nature of kids and the nature of little kids is they are very curious. So does the mind. Mind is very curious. It likes to cling into certain things and like to search certain things. So what we can do to quiet our mind or to make silence inside our mind is just to pay attention to what comes into your mind. Don't try to stop it. Okay? The more you try to stop it, the more it will come. So what we have to do, just be aware of it. When you become aware of what is going inside your mind, you bring your mind to this present moment. Because these thoughts and everything that goes inside your mind happening in this present moment. If you can see the appearance of the thoughts, and if you can see the passing away or fading away of the thoughts, it will start to get quieter. Okay? So when your mind is busy, in the next time, try this. When your mind is busy, when a lot of thoughts come into your mind, just try to identify one thought. Look at your mind like you're looking at an external thing, okay? And try to identify one thought. When it arises, you can identify, okay, it is arising now. When it fades away, okay, you're knowing and you are understanding that this thought is fading away. Once you do that, it is very amazing that your mind gets silent and quieter even more. So this is how we can clear and quiet our mind when we do meditations or when we are doing certain things in our life. So keep this advice in your life and practice it. Namo Buddhaya. Once, a student monk went to his master and said, "Master, I can't live in this temple anymore. I want to leave this place and go to a peaceful and quiet monastery." Then the master monk asked, "Why? What's wrong with this temple? Tell me what happened." Then the student monk said, "See, everyone in this temple are toxic to me. There are some monks who are too much into politics in this temple. And there are some other monks who always talks negative stuff about me and about others. And there are some others who spend their whole day doing nothing but just gossiping. I don't think that I can practice my spiritual life in this temple. Please let me go to a peaceful and a quiet monastery where there is no toxic people around me." Then the master monk said, "Okay, I will let you go, but before going, you have to do me a favor for the one last time." Then the student monk said, "Tell me, master, what should I do for you?" Then the master monk took a spoonful of water and gave it to the student monk and said, "You must carry this spoonful of water around the monastery and you should bring it to me. But here's the trick. You must never spill a single drop of water from it. If you can do it, I will let you go to a peaceful monastery." So thinking that the master will let him go to a peaceful monastery by completing this weird request, the student monk took the spoonful of water and carried it around the monastery, fully focused and without spilling a single drop from it. So after a few hours, The student monk came back to the master with a happy face and said, "Master, I did it. I carried this spoonful of water all around the monastery, even without spilling a drop from it. So now let me go to a peaceful monastery." Then the master monk said, "Okay, my student, you are free to go. But before you go, just tell me one thing. While you were carrying the spoonful of water around the monastery, did you hear any of the monks talking about politics? Did you hear any of the monks gossiping about other people? Did you hear any of the monks talking negative stuff about you?" Then the student monk said, "Master, I was focused on the spoon and I didn't have any time to listen to all those noises." Then the master monk said, "See, my student, if you are fully focused on your goal and if you are fully focused on your purpose, you don't have time to listen to all those other negative noises around you." Remember, wherever you go in this world, you will meet negative people around you. But if you are fully focused on your goal and on your larger purpose, all the other negative people and all the other negative words that you hear are nothing but just noises. Ladies and gentlemen, it is all about what we focus in our life. The more we focus on other people's behaviors, other people's words, other people's lives, there will be many toxic people around us. But if we are focused on ourselves, our goals, our purpose, all those negative stuff will become nothing but just a noise. See, it is easy to criticize other people. It is easy to see the dark side and the negative side of people. But it takes a heart of bravery and kindness to see the bright side of people. We all have imperfections in our life. We all make mistakes. We all make bad choices. And all those faults, imperfections are the things that makes us who we are. So when you work with people or when you are on social media, you will come across with people that you don't like. You will come across with ideas that you don't agree with. Remember, in all those times, you have the power to choose whether to react with negativity or to respond to them with positivity. Ladies and gentlemen, it is all about what you choose to do and what you focus in your life. So, focus on yourself and choose to respond to them with positivity. Namo Buddhaya. No matter how good we are, no matter how talented we are, there are certain times in life we are going to make mistakes. We are going to mess things up in life. In such times, one of the most common things that we do is we hate ourselves. And this self-hatred can end up in serious situations like suicide. See how many times we say, "I love you" to someone. How often do we say? We say it often, right? But how often do we say, "I love myself. I appreciate who I am"? This is something that we don't do oftenly. See, in Buddhist practice, the first step of spreading love and kindness is to practice love and kindness or spread love and kindness to yourself. So the Buddha saw that without being filled with self-love and self-kindness, you cannot be kind to someone else. So that is why we have to learn how to be kind and how to love ourselves without hating ourselves. So from this video, I'm going to be sharing with you few things that we have to understand and we have to practice to stop hating ourselves and to start appreciating and loving our life. Number 1, do not believe in labels. See, there are lots of labels that we have put on ourselves. For an example, your name. Your name is a label that was given by maybe your parents, and everyone start to call from that name, and it became your personality. It became who you are. Okay? Same like that, we are so good at labeling ourselves with our imperfections, with our mistakes, or with our incapabilities. But here's the thing, the more we label ourselves with our incapabilities, for example, people say to themselves like, I am a person who is being angry all the time. Okay, I'm a person who has having a weak mindset. I'm a person who is lazy all the time. Okay, I don't have any friends. I'm not getting in with friends. Okay, I cannot be with these people. So the more you label like that yourself, it becomes your personality. And that is why we should not believe in the labels that we put on ourselves. Why? Because a label or your incapabilities or your weaknesses or your mistakes are just a thought pattern. And it is always can be changed. Okay? You can always improve. And that is why we should not label ourselves with our incapabilities and our mistakes or from our weaknesses. We always have the chance to improve and to evolve. Number 2, learn to accept mistakes. Mistakes are the proof that says that we are trying in life and we are not willing to give up on ourselves. Every great person in this world has made mistakes and they have learned from their mistakes, and that is how they evolved and that is how they achieved the greatness. Always remember, the mistakes will never define your character unless you define your character with your mistakes. So do not let your mistakes to define your character. Always you have the chance to improve and move on and make yourself a good person and improve yourself. Believe in it. Number 3, stop criticism. This is something that is very important that we have to focus on in loving ourselves. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop criticizing others. Now here I'm not talking about the constructive criticism. I'm talking about the negative criticism. Okay? Do not criticize others and also do not criticize yourself. Okay? Why we should not criticize others to put others down? In each and every time when we criticize someone, we give the message to our mind that we are better than them. Okay, I am perfect than them. And you set standards to yourself. Most of the time, these are not realistic standards. Okay, and when we cannot live up to our own standards, what happens to us? We hate ourselves. And that is how criticism steals the self-love and the self-value. And that is why we should not criticize anyone. And number 4, believe that imperfection is beautiful. Just take a deep breath and look into this nature. Everything has that one nature that is the imperfection. From the little plant to the great mountain, everything is imperfect. Right? There is no perfectly symmetrical plant in this world. There is no perfectly symmetrical mountain in this world. Everything has the imperfection. And as humans, we also imperfect human beings. Okay? And also that gives the chance, it gives the chance for us to evolve. It gives the chance for us to be more productive and be more successful. See, becoming successful and becoming happy is not a destination. It is not a perfection, right? It is always a journey. We have to keep improving ourselves. We have to keep becoming successful, becoming happy. It is a journey that we go through in this life. So when you accept the imperfections, no matter how good we are, no matter how talented we are, no matter how great we are, there will be always imperfections in life. When we accept it, we can focus our kindness and our love towards ourselves. And also, every single day, this is something that you can practice. When you wake up in the morning, just sit on the bed and think, no matter how imperfect I am, no matter what mistake that I do in my life, I'm not going to give up on myself. right? I keep improving myself. I keep making myself a good person, a happier person, and I will never let go of myself. This is not something that is called selfishness. Selfishness is expecting many unrealistic things from yourself, right? And then when you're not up to your standards, you start to hate yourself. And that is why when you truly love yourself, truly love your imperfections, and truly love who you are and accept who you are, you get the chance to improve and you get the chance to evolve. And these are the things that we have to keep in mind in order to practice the self-love and improve the self-value. So keep practicing these things and make your life happier and healthier. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Couple of days ago, when I was reading the Dhammapada, I came across this wonderful verse from the Buddha. This is from Dhammapada, verse number 290. The Buddha says, "If by renouncing a lesser happiness, one may realize a greater happiness, let the wise man renounce the lesser, having regard for the greater." Now this simply says, if you seek a greater happiness in your life, you need to be brave enough to let go of the lesser or the cheaper happinesses in life. Now this made me thinking this can be applied to any area of our life. Whether you are a student who is studying to achieve a greater happiness or a greater achievement in your education life, there are certain things that keeps you away from that achieving it. Sometimes those things can be some pleasurable things, like watching movies, like scrolling on social media. But when it comes to it, like superficially, when we look at it, in the beginning, it's very enjoyable. It has its own entertainment. But the problem is it takes the valuable time from us. It steals the valuable time from us so that we waste time for a cheaper happiness. And what we miss is a greater happiness in the future that is yet to come. So the Buddha says, if you seek a greater happiness in life, you need to be brave enough to let go of the cheaper happinesses that keeps you away from achieving that greater happiness. Now this is applicable for the monk's life as well. This is why we become monks, right? As monks, we show that we need to seek a greater happiness in life, because as humans, what we seek in life is always happiness. But for a monk, he thinks that I need to achieve something greater than the normal happiness, right? A peace that is beyond from the normal peace in the world that we talk about. But to do that, we realize that it is not possible, or it is really, really difficult to be with the other cheaper happinesses in life, so that we need to let go of them to seek something greater. And that is what even the Buddha did, right? So many people complain that why Gautama, the Siddhartha Gautama, let go of the lay life or the material life. Why did he ran away from the life so that he become a monk? It's not about that he ran away from the responsibilities. It's about he understood that one cannot achieve the greater liberation in life or the greater peace in life, which is nirvana, by staying in this household life. So that he let go of that household life and became a monk. And he started to seek the spiritual path. And he found the nirvana and he found the liberation. And also, he didn't stop from that. He came back to the palace and he helped everyone who was in the palace in his life to achieve the same state of peace. So that if one seeks a greater happiness in life, right, we need to be brave enough to let go of that cheaper happinesses that we are being busy and that steals our time in our life, right? Sometimes it can be a toxic habit that you have, right? For an example, in a toxic habit, it is really, really easy and it is really, really enjoyable in the beginning, but it makes your life so much difficult after. And that is why they say that if you do what is easy today, your life will be difficult tomorrow. And if you do what is difficult today, your life will be easy tomorrow. And that is how the world works, right? For a toxic habit, it is very easy to do, but it makes our life so much difficult. But for a good habit, it is really, really difficult to practice, and it is really, really difficult to make it a habit, but it makes our life so much easier after. Okay, it can be applied to any area of your life. Like, let's talk about the spiritual life. Okay, usually when we become monks, it was really difficult to be disciplined, right? Once you become a monk, you have, first of all, you become a novice monk, and you have 10 disciplines to practice, right? And after staying as a novice monk, you become a higher ordained monk, and then you get, suddenly your precepts and your disciplines reach up to 227 disciplines. And it was really, really difficult to be disciplined. But once you learn, once you practice, once you dedicate your time and energy to be disciplined, it makes your life so much easier. And after some time, you realize that all these disciplines are made for your life to make it easier and make it so much free and make your life so much independent. Okay, so that is why we should believe that we should attain the freedom through discipline, right? Through hard work. So now take a look at your life. What are the things that keeps you away from achieving the greater achievements in your life or greater happinesses in your life? And be brave enough to say no to them, right? When you say no to them, it buys you so much more time that you can focus on what really, really matters. So keep this little advice in your mind, and let's meet with another video. Namo Buddhaya. The Buddha once said, "He who sits alone, lies down alone, walks alone, in diligent practice, and alone tames himself, should find delight in living in the forest." Living alone, being alone, can be scary for many people these days. Oftenly, our society portrays a successful life, a happier life, a good life, as a life where it is surrounded by people, surrounded by things. But there's a reason why almost all the spiritual practices, almost all the spiritual pathways praise and promote this living alone, life in the place of a solitude practice, a solitude life. And that is why almost all the religious leaders had to solitude themselves from these hassles and bustles of this society and go to these quiet places and find the liberation and find what they were looking for. Same went with the Supreme Buddha. Before he became the Buddha, he was a prince. He was living in a palace. He was indulging himself with this sensual pleasure. And then he understood, indulging in this sensual pleasure doesn't help me to find what I'm looking for. So what he did was he left the palace and he went from one forest to another, meditating, finding this peace, this ultimate peace, right? So living alone can be a blessing. It is a blessing when it is converted to a blessing, right? But living alone can be a curse as well for many people. That is why people, most of the time, they are scary. They are afraid of living alone, right? Most of the time, people come to me and say, I'm lonely, I'm living alone, I'm living by myself, but I feel so much lonely, so much negative thoughts coming into my mind. What should I do? That is what happens when you turn this loneliness into a curse. Trust me, it all depends on how you think and how you use this time. I will tell you a story. Prince Siddhartha, the Buddha, left the palace and he went to a forest. Although he went to a forest, there were 5 monks who was waiting for him to come to the forest. There were 5 monks who were helping Prince Siddhartha, the Buddha, with the meditation before his awakening. And then these 5 monks had this idea that only way to find the liberation is by giving this tortures and doing these hard meditations and harsh meditations and extreme meditations. So we call it Atta Kilamatthana Yoga, which we can translate into English as self-mortification, right? Now, Prince Siddhartha left one extreme when he left the palace. That extreme is, the Buddha described this as the extreme of sensual pleasures, indulging in the sensual pleasures. That was one extreme. And then Prince Siddhartha came to the other extreme, where he practiced this self-mortification, giving these extreme and harsh meditations to the body. And then those 5 monks, they believed that this is the only way for the liberation. So Prince Siddhartha was practicing these meditations for 6 years. And finally he understood, this extreme, being in this extreme, doesn't help me either. So then he found the middle path, the middle way. And that is to live a spiritual life by balancing his material and spiritual life both, right? And that is why after that decision, he decided to take some food to his body. After a long time he had taken some food to his body, he grabbed his alms bowl and went on begging alms and find some food and had it. Now all those 5 monks had a lot of expectations on Prince Siddhartha. And then they saw this incident. And then they became disappointed. They said, "Oh, what a disappointment. We believed him. We had a lot of expectations on him. But look what now happened. He's taking food. Maybe soon he will go back to his palace and he will live a normal life again. So the best decision is to leave him." So what happened? All these 5 monks left Prince Siddhartha. And after this alms round, he came back to the forest and he saw everyone had left. No one was there. Prince Siddhartha was alone. Then he found this perfect environment, perfect place to be focused more into himself. That was because he was all alone, right? He got the opportunity to be by himself, right? Focus more into himself. And one day he sat under the Bodhi tree and he became awakened, he became enlightened, right? So this solitude, when it is turned to, when it is used in the correct way, it can be a blessing for you, right? And the same solitude can be turned into a curse as well, right? Most of the people, they complain me about the loneliness. I always say to them, when you're lonely, your thought process generates a certain energy within you, right? And that can be negative. Now let's say you are in this negative energy environment and a negative energy thought process. You all know in science we learn about, according to science, it says that energy cannot be produced or destroyed. Now you have your energy within you, but it is negative, right? Now you can't destroy this negative energy, right? What we are trying in this whole life is to destroy this negative energy. Well, we can't do that. The only thing that we can do is to convert this negative energy, drive this negative energy to something positive. Right? So how can we drive this loneliness, this energy to something positive? One of the biggest reasons why people feel lonely is because they lack an aim, a goal to their life. If they have a goal and aim that they should work on, if they have a system that they should work on, then they don't feel that much lonely because they have something to do. They have something to engage with it. Right? So this can go either, people can have either material goals or spiritual goals, but everyone must have these spiritual goals within themselves, no matter what life they are coming from, right? Because finally, there will be a time that we There will be a time in all of our lives that we come to this lonely place. One day we have to be by ourselves with no one else around us, right? At that time, if we don't have any quality, any spiritual quality that we have practiced within us, we'll start feeling lonely again and again. And it will start to build up this negative energy within us. Okay? And sometimes we can be too late for that, to make it correct. So the best thing is to learn how to convert this negative energy to something positive, right? To do that, you have to have a goal and an aim for yourself, to yourself. Always ask from yourself, what should I do in my life? Who should I become in my life? What should I build up? What qualities should I work on in my life? If you found, we will always find some qualities that we should work on, right? Some mistakes that we have, some weaknesses within us. If we can work on those weaknesses and make it correct, that time will help you to be more successful, more productive, right? More happy and a more peaceful person. But to do that, what do you need? You need time, right? You need time to be focused on yourself. And what gives you the best time to be focused on yourself is the time when you are all alone, right? And that is why I always say for people, have a time during the day only for yourself, a separate time. Probably you can call it, people call it me time. Okay, that's a good thing. Having a me time for yourself during the day is essential. Okay, so I would say as a practical thing, apply it to your life. That is to have a separate, at least 15 minutes. It's okay. No matter how much you spend the time, but if it is for yourself, that is helpful, right? At least spend a 15 minutes of time, right? Sitting down, being by yourself, all alone, right? Not with your mobile phones, not with your Netflix account, not with your movies or anything. Just be by yourself, right? And then learn how to be with your own thoughts, right? Then only we can be more focused to ourselves, right? So I hope you got some idea about how to convert this loneliness into the solitude. So apply this little practice to your life and enjoy the solitude in your life. Namo Buddhaya.